So a lot of people have wrote me, they've said, does this piece of junk even work? What are you doing with it? You won't give it up. Why is it still around? Well, it's here, it works. I'm gonna prove it to you right now. Let's take a little drive. Let me show you actually how decent it runs. Look at how off-center the steering wheel is for me to go straight right now. We're going totally dead straight. The car is turned to the left about I don't know, what is this, a quarter turn. But other than that, the engine and the transmission, I'm right now on the DSG paddle mode, and it's really good. Drives really good, just needs alignment in the worst way. Of course I jinxed everything because now there's a check engine light, and the airbag light is only on because if you remember the whole rice situation, I took this seat out here and the seat's back in now. So the seat works, carpeting's all put back, gotta just put the door panel back, that's all easy stuff. The other lights, we'll clear those out. Car, as you saw, needs an alignment terribly, so that will all get fixed with an alignment. I'm expecting the check engine light to be nothing that big, but car runs and drives actually really darn good, and that's why it's tough. So you saw the car, you see it works, it does drive very good. You saw the dashboard, we got a few extra lights there. We'll be able to clear those out, we'll be able to check into what they are, absolutely no problem. But it brings up an important question, one I've gotten a ton, is it appropriate or is it a good idea for a first car if I get a salvage or rebuild title? And I'm going to answer that in the best way I know how to. And I think the Money Pit Jetta GLI is really the best car to help you answer that question. I say that the first car I wanted, and I say I wanted this car, was a 2005, I think, Jetta GLI, and I remember the color was called Lagoon Blue. Let me get out of the car and I'll tell you more about that, then explain to you why I think a salvage or rebuild title might be a good decision or might not be a good decision for your first car. If you remember the Lagoon Blue 2004-2005 Jetta GLI with those BBS wheels, a really slick body kit, the Recaro seats, a 6-speed transmission. Most of those Jettas had 5 speeds. This one had a 6-speed in it. It was the coolest Volkswagen around at that time. I wanted that car in the worst way, and I actually had gone to the dealership and we had kind of driven that same blue one, 6-speed, the whole works, and I thought I was going to get that car. They were running lease specials around $200 a month. And went home, and one day my parents decided to break the news to me after asking them probably a million times, you know, you're just not going to get that car. It's not first car material. You need to work your way up and buy something like that. It's a very nice car. It would just be the wrong decision for us to give you that. I'm sure I was super let down at the time, and a few weeks or a month later or so, my parents showed up with a 6-year-old Honda Accord, and it was a really nice emerald green, and I'm saying that facetiously. Emerald green was like the color that nobody ever wanted. Although I guess Jaguar, they call it British Racing Green, and people really get into that. But looking back at it, that was probably the most ideal first car I could have ever had. It taught me a lot of different things, and I'm super grateful for my parents who bought the car for me. I mean, a 6-year-old car, it's not even that old by today's standards. I just bought the S600 Mercedes. That car is 10 years old now, and it still has a lot of modern things on it. But let's get back to the question. Is a salvage or rebuild title car the right choice for a first car? Now, there's a few ways to answer this. Are you buying a salvage or rebuild car with the intentions of, okay, my budget is, let's use a round number, $5,000, and I could get a used Civic for $5,000, but if I got a salvage car, I could get a used BMW Salvage a rebuilt car for $5,000. If the reason is wanting a nicer first car than what's in your budget, and simply by just getting a salvage or rebuilt title, you're gonna knock a little bit of money off the price in order to get that nicer car, I'm gonna stop you right there, say don't even watch the rest of this video. Don't even bother getting the salvage or rebuilt car. It's likely not gonna be worth your time. It could come with more problems than you're expecting up front. And really in a first car, what I look at is reliability and responsibility. My Honda Accord taught me that reliability is very, very important. I was working at the time, I went to school, and I also had internships. If I didn't have that reliable Honda transportation, I wouldn't have been able to make it to all the things I had committed to. And like a buddy of mine says, then it's game over. Then what happens? You lose your job, or maybe you stop going to school, or you miss out on a few classes, you get bad grades. All of that's not worth having a BMW over a Honda. And again, that's just an example. Now the other thing is, besides the reliability, I said responsibility. Having that Honda Accord was a bit of a responsibility thing too. Now that Jetta, it was kind of looked at as a quick car, and the Honda Accord is just looked at as a Honda Accord, even though mine did have the V6, and it got me into enough trouble that I learned my limits, I think, somewhat early on. Not to exempt myself from future trouble, I learned that even with a common car, you can get yourself into a good amount of trouble. The responsibility factor is extremely important. A lot of the cars that I've been sent by younger viewers are like Nissan 350Zs, 370Zs, and they want these as their first cars. And actually, I remember a few kids in high school having the 350Z, like a brand new one off the lot, and oh wow, what a cool car. If you're buying it simply because, hey, it's just a Nissan 350 and it's gonna cost the same amount as a clean title Civic, again, stop right here. Don't even think about it. I can't recommend that. Let's look at a different scenario though. Say that your interest is cars, you really like cars, you like working on cars, and you've already worked on cars. Even before getting your permit or license, maybe you've helped a family member work on their car. You've learned a lot about cars through YouTube. And you want to buy a salvage car, say to rebuild it on your own, have kind of a project. I think that that's actually a great idea. A project that's completely finished always will bring a lot of pride, and to be able to show people your car, whether you buy a Ford Fiesta or a Ferrari, and you say, hey, I rebuilt this, that's really a great thing to be able to show people. It showcases your skills. And if you work on your car during a rebuild, chances are, if anything does go wrong with it, you'll know exactly where to pinpoint and how to fix it. So if that's your intentions, then by all means, I think that it's fine to get a rebuild or salvage car as your first car. The last idea kind of goes along with the first idea, but a little bit different, is I want to buy a rebuilt car with the intentions of just saving money. It's a fiscally responsible decision. And if that is your reasoning, I say it's totally okay as long as you explore the options out there and make a good decision. I'll give you a quick story with my Fiesta. And I'm gonna do a whole video series on the Fiesta showcasing what it came to me like all the way to the final day when it was finished and how much I spent on it. But when I got that Fiesta home, the first job was to get the frame fixed. Then I went and I assembled everything together. Now the car was basically finished sitting in my driveway. The first drive I took the car on, the water pump started leaking. And not only did it start leaking, the second I pulled it in my driveway, and when you turn your car off after driving it, that's usually when the system's under the most pressure, the water pump just completely let out water like a geyser. Water was going everywhere. Now I say water is because I filled it up with water before to make sure coolant wasn't leaking, and good thing I did, otherwise I would have wasted a bunch of coolant and had a big spot on my driveway. But anyway, I went, we took the whole motor, we propped it up, not kind of out of the car, it was still in the car, but this was not a simple DIY, let's just pop a water pump out because it's right in front of the engine. This was a real deal, almost the extent of a timing belt service on my Fiesta. We got that done, drove the car a little bit, got back underneath and noticed that there was grease under everywhere. Well, the CV axle was out because of the accident. And it felt like I made a huge error. Problem after problem started occurring, and it was like, when is this ever going to stop? This has turned into the money pit Fiesta. Now the reality was, after a few little issues, the car's been, knock on Jetta, nearly bulletproof since. But these cars can bring surprising issues. Ones that you wouldn't normally have with a car that never was in an accident, because obviously the accident causes physical damage. As long as you look into what you're getting into, kind of understand it, and understand the repair bills and the responsibility that comes with it, I think it's a wise decision to look into a rebuilt or salvage car as your first car. Guys, thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, please definitely throw me a comment below. Send me an email at samcrackauto@gmail.com. You can send me a direct message and follow me on Instagram. That's at samcrack. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos for content just like this. And I hope we'll see you on our next live stream, which I'll announce very soon on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you very soon.